Chapter 7, Curriculum Development. Curriculum is the foundation of the teaching learning process, whether it is a school, college, university, or training organization. The textbook used, how teachers are trained, development instructional plans, evaluation of students, participation of guides for both students and teachers, and setting of standards are all based on the curriculum. Thus, without a curriculum, no educational institution can function efficiently. Given such importance to curriculum, a number of questions are raised. How was it developed? How is it organized? Who develops it? And what are the principles in developing a curriculum? How do we know whether the curriculum is successful? To educate, educators must engage in serious curriculum development. Through Chapter 7, we will begin to look at the process of developing a curriculum. Remember, this video is an overview of the chapter. However, it is not meant to substitute your reading of Chapter 7 in its entirety. Please feel free to pause and rewind as needed. Let's begin. A curriculum is more than a school board approved textbook series. Although many textbook series are excellent educational materials, curriculists, and these include teachers, must realize that educating students demand more than just following a teacher's textbook guide. Curriculum development consists of various processes, technical, humanistic, and artistic, that allow schools and school people to realize certain educational goals. Ideally, everyone affected by a curriculum is involved in its development. Curriculum development is not static. It draws on emerging views of modernism and postmodernism, new understandings of cognitive theories, new understandings of the anatomy and physiology of the brain, and new formulations of instructional design and systems theory. The melding of thought regarding the various world and educational philosophies also has an impact on curriculum development. A useful way to reflect on curriculum development is to think of it as a variety of games with a myriad of rules. Looking at curriculum development as a series of games engaged in by various educators, teachers, curriculists, administrators, and even at times groups for the general public, assists us in realizing that people have varied goals for playing the game or games. When employing the game mentality, it is important to remember that there are winners and losers, although we strive for the curriculum game as a win-win. Although many players are multitasking in their games or interests, most center their play on a particular game. For the purposes of our discussion on playing curriculum development, most curriculum players play the game for technical, non-technical, or a holistic model. The technical scientific approach to education and curriculum stresses students learning specific subject matter with specific outputs. The approach applies scientific principles and involves detailed monitoring of the components of curriculum design. Curriculum is viewed as a complex unity of parts organized to foster learning. Technical scientific curriculum development began around 1900 with educators sought to apply empirical methods, things like surveys and analysis of human conduct, to the question of curriculum content. Please review pages 180 through 181 to further understand the models of Bobbin and Charters as they relate to the technical scientific approach of curriculum development. The most recognized scientific technical models are the Tyler model, the TABA model, the backward design model, and the task analysis model. Tyler's technical scientific model is one of the best known. In 1949, Tyler published Basic Principles of Curriculum and Instruction, in which he outlined an approach to curriculum and instruction. Those involved in curriculum inquiry must try to 1. Determine the school's purpose, 2. Identify educational experiences related to those purposes, 3. Ascertain how the experiences are organized, and 4. Evaluate the purposes. Some people have criticized Tyler's approach as too linear, too reliant on objectivity, and somewhat based on assumptions about cause and effect. It allows all educational experiences to be justified by the objectives that they address. Nevertheless, Tyler's approach to curriculum development remains popular with school district personnel and still influences universities. Its reasonableness and workability appeal to many people. Tyler's approach works regardless of context or one psychological orientation. Hilda Taba was an influential colleague of Tyler's. In Curriculum Development Theory and Practice, which was written in 1962, she argued that there was a definite order to creating a thoughtful, dynamic curricula. Unlike Tyler, Taba believed that teachers should participate in developing curricula. She advocated that she advocated what has been called the grassroots approach, a model whose steps resemble Tyler's. View the slide so that you can see what the 7 steps of Taba's models are. Another popular model of curriculum development is the backward design, advocated by Grant Wiggins and Jay McTeague. Essentially, this model is a variation of task analysis. Its roots can be traced back to Bobbitt and Carter's and Charters. It also draws from fields of architecture and engineering. Backward design, we prefer to call it backward development, begins with a statement of desired results. Just what do you want to accomplish? What should students know and be able to do? What values and attitudes should they have? What skills do they possess and be able to demonstrate? Essentially, this first stage involves identifying the school's program goals and then going from there. Task analysis models differ widely. However, they all share a focus on identifying essential content and skills, which are determined by analyzing the tasks necessary for school learning or some real world task. Basically, there are 2 types of task analysis: subject matter analysis and learning analysis. You can read more about both of these in your text. The technical scientific approach to curriculum development suggests that the process of curriculum development is highly objective, universal, and logical. It rests on an assumption that reality can be defined and represented in symbolic form. In contrast, non-technical curriculum developers stress the subjective, personal, aesthetic, heuristic, and transactional. They stress the learner rather than the learner's output, emphasizing activity-oriented approaches to teaching and learning. To non-technical curriculum developers, learning is holistic. It cannot be broken into discrete parts or steps. Instead of developing curricula prior to students or students co-learners, non-technical scientific curriculum developers are likely to favor child-centered and, to a lesser extent, problem-centered designs. However, they can still take a somewhat systematic approach. In the deliberation model of non-technical curriculum development, educators communicate their views to their colleagues and sometimes to students regarding educational goals and what should be taught. However, curriculum development is nonlinear, a blend of modernism and postmodernism. The deliberation approach draws on systems thinking and on feedback and adjustments, but also takes into account that reality is somewhat objective. Table 7.1 from your text provides an overview of technical and non-technical approaches to curriculum development. Curriculum development essentially draws on 2 realms of knowledge: curriculum design and instructional design, especially at the K-12 level. Most educators know more about the former than the latter. Researchers at Pennsylvania State University's Applied Research Laboratory define instructional design as the systematic development of an instructional specifications using learning and instructional theory to ensure the quality of instruction. Programs must give more than cursory attention to how new content will be taught and how classroom and school environments will be organized. In many cases, those charged with curriculum development must draw on the expertise of instructional design specialists. In order to properly enact curriculum development, it is important that you establish curriculum teams, generate aims, goals, and objectives, select curriculum content, select curriculum experiences, select educational environments, and finally, synthesize it all together. Because each of these are crucial to the development of a curriculum, they deserve substantial attention. Please take the time to review each of these topics within your text. Developing a curriculum involves many people from both the school and the community. It also involves planning at the classroom, school, state, and national levels. There are many participants in curriculum development. These include teachers, students, principals, curriculum specialists, superintendents, Board of Education, lay citizens, the federal government and state agencies, and also some regional agencies could be involved in curriculum development. In conclusion, educators' choice of purpose is influenced by their philosophical orientation, their perceptions of the social and political forces impacting the school, their access to educational and technical support for the program being contemplated, and certainly their concept of the student as learner. It is useful to apprehend curriculum development as a variety of games with a myriad of rules. These games can be enacted within a technical, scientific, or non-technical, non-scientific arena. All game plans seek to develop educational content experiences and environments that meet the school's objectives, goals, and aims. Today, much debate revolves around how standards relate to objectives, goals, and aims. We have reached the end of Chapter 7. Be sure to review all topics that were discussed in this chapter. Remember, any of these topics could be seen on the final exam.